Hello, boys and girls, and welcome back. This week in art, we are learning how to do a landscape using foreground, midground, and background to create perspective. Perspective is a way of creating an illusion of depth, and by drawing the image this way, it appears as though your image is three-dimensional. You are welcome to use any materials you have available to complete this project. We're going to start with a piece of paper, and you can position it vertically or horizontally. Mine is vertically, and that way I can make the elements go farther and farther into the picture by drawing the lines up towards the middle and the top. So I'm starting by drawing a line towards the bottom of the paper, another line in the middle of the paper, and that's going to be kind of like a wavy or bumpy line, and then the third line is like the mountains or the hills in the distance, and that can have some sharp edges to it, or you can make some nice hills, however you want to create the three layers and the different sections. And that's going to be your foreground, your midground, and your background. Now, anything in the foreground, which is the closest part to you, that's the bottom part of the paper, is going to be really close up. So in your landscape, you're going to draw different plants that would be in that environment that you choose. You do not have to do a desert. And in your chosen environment, you need to draw some plants that are really close up. So I'm drawing some big cactus that is really close, and some rocks in the foreground that are really big, because if I were to stand right next to them, they would appear really large right next to me. And then in the foreground, I'm going to put a cactus. Again, I'm doing a desert, so my cactus is going to be really big. It's in the foreground, so it's in the front of the picture, and so it's going to be really big in the front. And as we go towards the midground and the background, anything I draw is going to get smaller and smaller, and that's going to make it appear and give the illusion of distance. Even though the paper is two-dimensional and flat, it'll look three-dimensional. Now that I've added all the details that I'd like to include in the foreground, I'm going to start on the midground, the middle layer, and I'm going to kind of think about these mountain ridges with some craggly bricks or rocks in the front. And I'm going to put some cactuses going towards the distance, and so the cactus that I created in the foreground in the front is really big, so in the midground they're going to get smaller, and then one is even smaller going towards the background. And I can work in the background, and I'm adding onto my mountains those jagged edges at the top to make the mountain range similar to the mountain range that we made in a previous project. And I think I like the way that I've done the objects in my picture so far, so I'm going to add details and trace around each object with a black marker. Once I'm done outlining everything with the black marker, I'm going to go and erase my pencil lines. I can also use my black marker to add more details, add some spikes on the cactuses, add some little mountain ridges and lines, and create more depth and dimension in my picture. So you are welcome to do the same thing. Once you have everything outlined and all the details added with your black marker, you can go in and color. I like using color pencils, and I am using different colors for the color pencil to add details on the cactus, showing where the sun is hitting it. I like using the color pencil to make all the little details, and I'm using paint. You do not have to use paint, but I like using paint to paint in all the bigger details and give it more of a dimension and depth. All right, boys and girls, and there we have it. We have created a landscape picture using foreground, midground, and background. Remember, as you are creating this, to include objects in the front that are really big and close up, objects in the midground that are slowly getting smaller and smaller, and objects in the background that are teeny tiny, like the little dots that I added on the mountain range. I can't wait to see what you create. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.